Plaintiff Brandy Newble and her husband Ricky say Brandy hired her nephew, the defendant, to shoot video and take pictures at Ricky's surprise birthday party. However, she's suing because she never got the footage or the pictures. Defendant Gregory Johnson admits that he has been delayed in getting the video footage to Brandy, but insists it was because he has medical issues and was in and out of the hospital. He's countersuing for defamation and emotional distress.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you, man.
Hi, Judge Mathis. It's an honor to meet you today.
You.
I most definitely first want to start off by saying that I love my nephew. So this is really more of a life lesson, but it's really important to me. I want to start off by sharing that last year on May 21st of 2020, my oldest brother, William Johnson, was killed by the Nashville Police Department. They shot over 50 rounds at him. And to this day, they told us, the DA told my parents that they would show us footage of him that day at the grocery store and at different places. And to this day, we haven't seen any of that footage. So it's just been really devastating, without getting any answers. And so
have you all been protesting?
We did protest. The news station has came to talk to us several occasions. And they're even like the department, the department has been very tight-lipped with them. They keep saying that the case is still open. They did say some body cams were there after the scene, but they haven't let us see that. They haven't let us hear the recordings or anything yet.
How was he shot 50 times?
They said over 50 rounds were shot. And they said that my brother had shot the off-duty officer one time in the shoulder, but it's just conflicting information.
How many people were shooting at your brother?
They said 3. 3
people shot 50 rounds?
Yes.
And they all 3 of them were off-duty officers?
Well, no. See, the case, it started at one place, one location where it was off-duty officer and my brother came and countered, and then they said he left the scene, but no video footage has been found of him driving.
Okay. Sorry to hear that, and I hope you all continue to march for justice, and text for justice, and social media, and just keep going. Don't give up. And tell me about your relationship with your nephew.
My relationship with my nephew always has been good. I've never had any problems I call him Man-Man. So if I keep saying Man-Man, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. But Man-Man, he's my brother's oldest son, a very smart young man. So this is why this is so shocking and so hurtful to me, because I've never had problems with him. But also I feel like, sometimes when kids turn 18, that's when they come to find themselves. So I think a lot of things he's just starting to rebel against and just really trying to find himself.
Let me hear from you, young man. Tell me about yourself and your relationship with your aunt.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Well, me and my aunt, we've always been cool. We've never had really any problems, or we've never been the type to argue. But these last few months, I really felt a stab in the back, starting with when she sent a fake lawyer to serve me a fake subpoena.
Okay, let me go to the details, since that's what you want to do, and it's her lawsuit, and then you can respond, and you can tell me those things when you respond. What are you suing him for? $1,500 for a party. Tell me about it.
We're newlyweds. This is my husband, Rick, mm-hmm. and we got married October last year, but his birthday was in February, and I booked, it was a surprise dinner for him, so I booked a celebrity chef to come to the house and cook for us and 2 other couples. He's actually a fireman for Nashville, Tennessee, and I had one of his captains and his wife to come, and then my sister and my brother-in-law. So we had the chef to come in. I had decorations. I had cake. I sent him away to go get pedicures and things by himself. And then I told him at a certain time a car was going to pick him up. But when he got home, the cars were hid on the side of the house. And when he walked in, man, that's what he was recording. So he also did like birthday shout outs. He took pictures of everything.
Let's start first with the agreement with Mr. Johnson. What was the agreement regarding videotaping?
The agreement is on page 20 of your evidence. I booked him to come and do the videos and the pictures for the day. And that was the agreement. He told me that he would.
How much?
His fee right there was $50. And then I gave him a tip and I made sure.
Okay, no, we got to stick with we just need to stick with the agreement. $50 was the agreement?
Yes, sir.
To provide what?
Video and pictures.
Video and pictures for $50.
On page 20, you'll see I asked him how much his fee was first, and that's when he replied back. And so
okay, he said $50. Okay. And so what happened? He was videotaping. Now, you know you get what you pay for, but go ahead. He was videotaping, and what didn't you like for $50?
No, that's the problem. He never gave me anything. Like
he was there though, and you never saw anything?
Nothing. I would be okay if I got bad footage, but I didn't get anything.
Okay. And when you began to request your footage, what has he been telling you?
Actually, the first time, I think that's on page 21, when I reached out to him about it, he told me he needed more time. And I told him that was okay. So then I reached out to him. I gave him the third week I reached out. I said, okay, man, this is week 3. And then he came back with a very long, rude message that basically told me he wasn't giving me anything. And it just caught me off guard. On page 20, you'll see I asked him how much his fee was first, and that's when he replied back. And so
okay, he said $50. Okay. And so what happened? He was videotaping. Now, you know you get what you pay for, but go ahead. He was videotaping, and what didn't you like for $50?
No, that's the problem. He never gave me anything. Like
he was there though, and you never saw anything?
Nothing. I would be okay if I got bad footage, but I didn't get anything.
Okay.
Plaintiff Brandy Newble and her husband Ricky are suing Brandy's nephew because she claims she hired him to shoot video of Ricky's surprise party, but she's never seen the footage.
Let me hear from you, young man.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, I'll admit I should have told my aunt the editing breakdown of how videos work, like, because you know how.
Did he tell you when he would have it ready, ma'am?
Yes, he said 2. First it was 1 week, and then he asked for another one.
All right, so now he's about to tell me that even though he told you 1 or 2 weeks, the video breakdown, you didn't understand that, and that it really took months, obviously. Go ahead, tell me what about the video breakdown she didn't understand, even though you said it would be a week or 2.
Well, initially, sir, we didn't have any like contract or verbal agreement of when the video was going to be, when I was going to return the video to her. As I was, she could attest to this, as I was walking out her house, I asked her, I said, Auntie, can you send me your Gmail so I could send you the video?
When did you intend to do it? When did you intend to give it to her?
I intended to get her maybe like 3 to 4 weeks afterwards.
She's about to tell me you have evidence of this agreement? What page?
22 said 2 weeks. If you look at the bottom, he said, I forgot to tell you, it usually takes a video pics done in 2 weeks span because I really want to work and for it to be good.
All right, so he's lying already. What else?
Oh, yes, sir. After that, I have gotten sick. I have medical records. I've been diagnosed with sickle cell since birth. And my eyes know this. On page 3 through 4 of my evidence, I have medical records of me having to be hospitalized.
From what time were you hospitalized?
I was hospitalized in March, April, and May for about like 7 days, and I had to
7 days all together.
For about I say 30 days, honestly, total.
Okay, so where does it say that you were hospitalized 30 days on your hospital records?
No. I mean, like each month I had to go to the hospital.
I know very well about sickle cell, young man.
I'm sorry.
I know very well. I have a very close relative that has it. You said hospital records.
Yes, sir. It's
You didn't
on
say
page,
diagnosis records as a child. So what page shows you were in the hospital for 30 days? What page?
page 3 through 4.
There you go.
And that's where I had to catch up on school. And
So read the dates to me. Read the dates on these evidence you're referring to that indicates 30 altogether.
I was in there from March 12th through the 18th.
6 days. Go ahead. What's the others?
Then April, I was in there from the 8th through the 13th.
That's 5 days. So far we have 11 days and you told me 30.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I was just giving an estimate number.
No, we went over that before. Now we've made it clear and your evidence does not show what you said. In fact, it only has 1/3 of the time you said you were there. Now you're changing your story again. All right, young man, I can't believe you. So what other excuse?
Yes, sir. And during that time, I had to catch up during schoolwork. I was behind on schoolwork because when I was hospitalized.
Oh, did you tell her that? I'm sure she understood both. Did you tell your aunt, Auntie, I was in the hospital for 30 whole days, and then come back and say, I have a lot of schooling to catch up with. That's why. Did you do any of that?
She blocked me, Your Honor. I had no way of contacting her.
Why
blocked me
do
on
you think she
Facebook.
blocked you? She want her video footage. That's not making sense.
I gave her her pictures, Your Honor.
Video footage.
She told me she doesn't have storage, and that wasn't part of the agreement. The agreement was that I edit the video and put it on my Facebook.
Not to give it back to her. Not to give it back to her. You were going to keep it for your purpose. When did you intend to give it to her?
I intended to get her maybe like 3 or 4 weeks afterwards.
On page 22, you said 2 weeks. It usually takes a video pics done in 2 weeks span because I really want to work and want to be good.
All right, so he's lying already. What else?
Plaintiff Brandy Newble and her husband Ricky are suing Brandy's nephew because she claims she hired him to shoot video of Ricky's surprise party, but she's never seen the footage.
The agreement was you take the footage, then you edit it, and you keep it for yourself.
No, sir. I said I put it on my Facebook.
Yeah, and then keep it for yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I want to know, and that's the worst lie I've ever heard. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your claim is dismissed for perjury. You're lying to me back and forth. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your claim is dismissed. Have a good day.
Thank you. Man, you know you never told me you was keeping the video footage.
You told me to post it. Did you not?
Man, why would I tell you to post it? I told you to edit it. And you know you only gave me like 8 pictures. I never even seen a picture of his cake. It was just a principle. You know I love you. You know I love you. We've never had any problems like this at all. But you know, you could have been I even asked your dad just for the raw footage. I was gonna get it edited myself. We've never agreed for you to just post it on your page.
The footage, that's not the agreement.
What was the agreement?
That I posted on my Facebook. You said you didn't have storage.
We weren't even friends on Facebook.
Plaintiff Sierra Stacy had a rough upbringing, but she considers herself a survivor, not a victim. Sierra claims she bought a car from the defendant, but soon after it broke down, so she's suing for a refund. Defendant Ellery Wolf says he offered to have the car looked at for Sierra, but at the end of the day, it was an as-is sale, and therefore he owes her nothing. He's countersuing for the balance due on the car and car repairs.
Start with you.
Okay, I'm a single parent of 2 young teens. I'm just aiming to try to pave a better way from what I've seen growing up and what I've been through. Abuse, shelter, living in my car, certain things, but I'm not a victim. I've overcame it, and I am excited.
What's wrong with saying you're a victim?
Because I know for sure that I'm healed from it, and I took the procedures to healed from it, so I don't consider myself
You
being.
survived right here. That.
Yeah.
And I've never understood people. It's always seemed to me to be a shield, because if you've been battered and beaten, you are being victimized.
Yeah.
And the root word of victimize is victim.
Yep.
So I don't know. It kind of rubs me wrong when people tell you, no, you're not a victim. Oh, yes, I am. What happened to me? You are a surviving victim.
Yeah.
But you are a victim of a man battering you.
Yes.
And so, ladies, don't let anybody tell you you weren't victims. You were. A man battered you, had you to live in a shelter, it appears, had you lose everything.
Yeah.
Yes, you survived and overcame, but you are also a victim that maintained scars from that. So, there you have it. But I'm glad you overcame. And what's your status now in life? You have 2 children, and what are you doing with yourself?
I'm working. I was actually a lead at a factory for quite some time. I was willing to work to take care of me and my children. Afterwards, I was impacted through the pandemic, which I lost my job. And once I lost my job, I had car issues, and kids had to stay home for school because of things has changed.
A lot of work.
Yeah. So after that, that's when I met Mr. Wolf online to know that he was selling used cars.
Okay.
I made it a decision to sacrifice by buying a secondary car because there was so many things going on with the vehicle, my prior vehicle. July 8th, I purchased a car of 2021, and once I purchased the car, which was a 2010 Nissan, Sentra. He told me that nothing was wrong with the car, but I did notice that it was a rattling noise. So he said it was nothing major.
Were you paid for it?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
It was a rattling noise. He told me that was just something hanging from the car. And
hanging from the car?
Yeah, underneath. That could be adjusted. Once he told me that I did give him a total of $1,700 in cash. So once 6 days later, I took it to a local mechanic in my area, and that's when the car completely shut down.
When you call him back, what did he say?
Once the car stopped at the mechanic place, I called him and I said, something's going on with the car, it just won't start. He insisted that it was minor and nothing was really wrong with the vehicle, and we ended it with that because it got a little bit confrontational because I called him with the issue. So my mechanic said the next day he'll get to it. 2-3 days later, my mechanic could not get to it, so Mr. Wolf actually said, I'll go and tow the car. I'll pay for the repairs because I know it's nothing major. And then once he took the car, I didn't know where the car was at. I didn't know.
How long ago was that?
The 14th was when I told him about the vehicle. It's actually July 17th.
July 17th, he took the vehicle to have it repaired?
Yes, he told me.
Where is it at now?
I don't know.
If you've been battered and beaten, you are being victimized.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It kind of rubs me wrong when people tell you, no, you're not a victim. Oh, yes, I am. What happened to me? You are a surviving victim.
Yeah.
But you are a victim of a man battering you.
Yes.
Plaintiff Sierra Stacy says soon after she bought a car from the defendant, it broke down. So she wants a refund. But the defendant insists it was an as-is sale and he owes Sierra nothing.
Let me hear from you, sir. I'll get back to you.
I took the vehicle and did go get it repaired to get it at the shop to get it looked at for further diagnosis because the guy couldn't even, have the time. He didn't have the time to look at it. So it was like 4 days.
Your guy?
No, her guy. That she took the vehicle to get it looked at. And while doing so, my mechanic diagnosed it and it wound up being a fuel pump. So I told her, I'll buy the parts, even though she bought it as is and she signed that it was as is. I said, you know what, I'll be honest and I'll just go ahead and I'll purchase the part and you pay for the labor. And then she said that she didn't feel like she didn't have to pay for anything or she shouldn't. And I said, you know, I don't know what you want me to do, because I told the mechanic he could start. He asked me, can he start working on the vehicle? And I said, yes. And then when I talked back to her, she told me, why did you tell him to start on the vehicle when we didn't discuss on, you know, how did you know if I have the funds to pay for that? And I said, well, the vehicle has to get fixed anyway. That's just the way I do business. If it's something wrong with it, you know, and by her being a friend of the family, you know, and I know her for a long time.
When she heard the rattling that day, what did you tell her?
That was the exhaust.
I'm just telling you what she said.
Oh, yeah. She knew it was the exhaust because it was coming from the back. It was coming from the rear.
Okay.
So it was the exhaust rattling. It just needed like the little hook piece to hook on.
That's what you told her?
I told her that. Yeah.
Okay. And then when she called you after it had stopped 6 days later, what was that conversation?
I told her, she said it stopped at the shop. Mm-hmm. That she was going to go get it inspected at. And that just so happened to be the shop that I took it to get it inspected before I gave it to her. I purchased a new tire for it. I got an oil change on it. And they thoroughly looked over all the fluids and made sure that the vehicle was okay before I gave the vehicle.
So why do you want your money back if he's getting it fixed?
Okay, because, can I kind of rewind a little bit? Mm-hmm. Okay, so when I had the vehicle at the mechanic shop, once he said a couple days later, hey, your mechanic didn't get to the car yet, I'll go pick up the vehicle. First of all, I didn't insist that. He did. So once he insisted and said he'll pick up the vehicle, the reason why I was a little bit comfortable, because he said he will maintain whatever needs to be fixed with the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So that's
saying that today. So what's the difference?
Fast forwarded, once his mechanic got to it, he sent me a text, which I have it on here too.
What page? What is that text saying?
The text is on page 7. Mm-hmm. It's saying, good morning, which is the 23rd from when we first talked. It say, good morning, I found out it was the fuel pump. Once that's page 7 and the last text message. Mm-hmm. Once I called him back, I said, okay, what's going on with the car? Because at that point, he was upset that I asked for my money back. But the reason why is because he wasn't getting back to me. And I felt uncomfortable.
Didn't you have anything to show me where he got upset? Because on this, he doesn't sound upset.
On the phone, he did get upset.
No, I'm asking, do you have a text? You have any evidence? The only evidence you've given me is he says, good morning, I found out what's happening. It's the fuel pump.
No.
That's very nice. That's not mean at all.
That's very nice.
That's somebody going out of their way to help you when you have bought a car that has no warranty and is as is. So why won't you allow him to complete that?
Your Honor, because when he called me before the text message, he said, I have to get the labor done, me. And I said, well, how do you know that I can afford what you're telling me the labor is? And secondly, that's not what you told me.
Your only problem was with you paying for the labor?
No, the problem was after we got to the conversation of what needs to be done, I can't afford what you're telling me that needs to be done. I didn't know what a car was at, first of all. I couldn't contact him because after that conversation, he blocked me on social media and my phone number.
Sir, did you block her? If so, why?
Yes, I blocked her, Your Honor. I blocked her because she was getting very disrespectful and rude after I told her, I will help you out, even though you bought it as is. I'm still willing to help you out. And I said, since it's not something that you did or I did, you know what I'll do for you? I already dropped the price to $2,600, and I was originally asking $35 for the vehicle. So I dropped it to $26, and I told her this. I said, you know, what I'll do for you, I'll pay for the part. You just pay for the labor. The total came out to $500 for parts and labor. And she said on page 5, this is her after I blocked her, if you want to read that, Your Honor.
There's nothing disrespectful here to me. She said, I just asked you to be fair. If you're not willing to trying to give me my money back, it's nothing else we need to talk about.
And that's why we ended up here.
Okay, but you said, why did you block her?
Because she was cursing.
I thought this was going to indicate something. It doesn't indicate anything.
She was actually verbally cursing me.
Okay, you all haven't shown me anything. Everything that you all say happened is the very opposite of what I'm reading. Yep. He was very polite when he talked to you. You say suddenly he went off after that. She was very polite in her letter to you. You say, but right before that, she had went off. So I don't see any going off.
Plaintiff Sierra Stacy says soon after she bought a car from the defendant, it broke down. So she wants a refund. But the defendant insists it was an as-is sale and he owes Sierra nothing.
You sold it to her for $2,600?
Yes.
And she has paid how much?
17.
Who has the deed?
I have.
Wolf does. Everything is in his name.
You have the deed? Okay.
Yes.
And you've been paid 17 out of the 20. 900 due?
Yep.
All right. We're going to give her 1,700 back and let you keep the car. So there's no loss. You have your car back. And it needed repairs already.
Yeah.
When you sold it to us. So you can just repair it and keep it. So, ma'am, we're going to give you your money back and let him keep the car. 1,700 is your judgment, and your claim is dismissed, sir. Have a good day.
All right, thank you.
We both hopefully can continue to move forward and stay positive. That's all I was trying to do, is be positive in the situation. So, yeah.
Well, Sierra, I apologize to you if you felt like I disrespected you and sold you a bad car. I was willing to fix the car, and I see that we shouldn't have no problem from here. You know, I apologize.
No problem.
No issues.
Plaintiff Emmanuel Spiridakis was friends with the defendant, so he agreed to rent him a house. However, Emmanuel claims the defendant turned out to be a meth addict who turned his home into a drug house. He's suing for rent and property damages. Defendant Sean Laffey denies trashing Emmanuel's home and insists he did all the maintenance on the home during his tenancy. He's countersuing for breach of contract.
Start with you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Laffey and I had been friends for about 26 or 27 years since we were teenagers, about 13 years old. It's always been an up and down relationship, you know, arguments. As we grew older, I graduated high school at the age of 18, and I saw basically our lives going nowhere. And I wanted to grow up and mature. I wanted to, see the world. After 4 years, I returned at the age of 22. My friends, including Mr. Laffey, had basically not progressed or matured.
What year was that?
2002. I was 22 years old upon returning. And we were still able to maintain a relationship as friends, and it was still up and down. But some of the instances that occurred were like he took my motorcycle out of my garage without authorization, and he wrecked it in front of my house.
How did he get the key?
It was in the bike. Mm-hmm. And in 2006, we were driving in my boat down the river. I let him drive it for a little bit. We were going pretty slow, but I told him slow down to dock it. He crashed into the dock. I jumped out of the back seat and punched him in the face, chipping one of his teeth. After that, we kind of still maintained a rocky relationship over time. In 2014, he was in a really bad spot in life from drinking and probably drugs as well. And he wanted me to let him rent my house to him. And he promised he wouldn't destroy it. I allowed it. After that, a few years later went by, and I realized through mutual friends we still maintained that he was on drugs and alcohol, and he had been in and out of rehab a couple times. The drugs being hard drugs like meth, coke, barbiturates, some others I may not be aware of. And when I finally came back and saw my house in late February.
It looked like a dope fiend's house, huh?
It was a crack house or a meth house.
Let me hear from him. Give me some background and what you want me to know, sir.
Well, I'd like to comment on a couple of his statements. First of all, the bike incident, I handed him an envelope full of $1,400 cash, and he gave me permission to wreck the bike. I said, I wreck it, you can keep it. And he ended up keeping the envelope full of cash. As far as his boat situation, I was docking my boat and bumped into his boat. That's how that went down.
Either one of these true?
Neither one are true. It was my boat. He ended up paying for my boat, the hole he put in it. He did not give me an envelope full of cash. He took my bike while I was inside the house.
Okay. All right. Continue. What else you want me to know?
Well, basically, as he said, we did have a rocky relationship. Most of what he just said is definitely not true, but we're not going to go down there. In 2014, he did me a big favor, rented me his house. As far as trashing his house, that's false as well. I did all the maintenance. I did everything that needed to be done. In the end, he was going to originally re-rent it when I was moving out. He asked me to give him 1 month's notice, I gave him 3.
Okay.
I painted the interior of the house. Halfway through that project, he
Well, let
decided
me
he
let
was
him
gonna sell.
tell me what he's suing you for. I guess he didn't want to address the drug issues.
Plaintiff Emmanuel Spiridakis rented a house to the defendant, but he claims the defendant turned out to be a meth addict who turned the rental property into a drug house.
First of all, what was the amount for the rent?
$740.
Okay. What month did he fail to pay?
March of 2020.
All right. Prior to that, had he been paying on time and consistently?
He had been paying, never on time, usually 10 to 17 days late.
Is that true, sir?
It's true, but that was part of our agreement.
That you can be 10 to 17 days
No,
late?
he gave me a 15-day grace period, and the deal was I didn't bother him with incidentals, like snaking out drains and silly things like that.
Okay, so in exchange for you letting me pay you 2 weeks late, I'll fix all the little things? Is that what you're saying? There was an agreement?
Small incidental things, yes.
That was the agreement? You all discussed it?
Verbal agreement, yes, sir.
That's false.
Yeah,
The
why
lease
didn't he
says
just tell you you're going to have to pay until the middle of the month instead of doing all that?
that not according to the lease.
And what page is the lease on? And because lease trumps oral. And
Right.
grace period means you're still late. And just saying I'm not going to put you out.
Correct. It's
I'm
10
giving you the
days.
grace of not evicting you. That don't mean that's your payment date. What did you want me to see, sir?
Eviction, the lease, page 1, number 4, 10th of the month is the grace period.
Well, you know, he's saying it was verbal, so not been paid by the 10th of the month, or if provisions are not addressed, then management will automatically and immediately have the right to take out a dispossessory warrant and have resident, okay. Dispossessory, is that what they call it as opposed to eviction? All right, and tell me what happened. You're saying he was late all the time. In this instance, he owed for March. And what else are you suing him for?
If you could also look at page 9 of our packet.
Tell me what it's about.
Yeah, it's holdover. It's number 10 on the lease agreement. Resident shall deliver possession of residence in good order and repair back to.
So what was it when you went and you all had to walk through? Did you have a walkthrough?
I had to go through by myself because he abandoned the property.
When?
In March of 2000, around the 20th of March. I
All
kept
right.
going every day. He was never there. He wouldn't respond to my calls or texts.
All right, and his items were there still?
Mostly trash, which I had texted him. If you wanted to look at.
And what would he say? Let me get to him while you're looking. He says, sir, that you moved out mid-March without notice. What do you say?
Him and I went back and forth about March because I was working on the house, getting things done. I finally gave him the money to shut him up. I didn't think that I should have to pay him
How
because I
much?
was working on a
$740?
$780 actually is what the rent was. It wasn't
$780?
$740, it was $780. It was $740 in the beginning. It was $780 for the last 5 years.
What date did you give him that?
I don't know exactly what date, but it was towards the middle of the month.
Tell me about when you moved.
I moved out beginning of the month. There was nothing left behind there. I was working on the property, and at the same time, I was working on my own house and running a business and raising 2 kids.
Left
So,
beginning of March. Why did you pay then
well,
for March?
I didn't leave the beginning of March. I was moving things out as I was working, and that was my whole point.
Okay.
Why should I have to
Let's
pay
go
him?
back over what I asked you.
I'm sorry.
I said, when did you move out? That was the question.
I
said
slowly-
beginning of March.
I slowly moved out
Now, I want to know the end. When did you end up moving?
probably by the 7th or the 8th of the month.
And what do you have that indicates that wasn't the case?
I have on page 2 these text messages, which is dated the 28th of March. And it states on the very first one, you said yourself you had moved out and told me to put the electricity back in my name.
The issue here is, did he move the first week or the third week, right?
Yes.
All right, so read which makes that issue clear.
It's not exactly clear in this.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You got me reading something that has absolutely nothing to do with what you told me it had to do with. What property damage, and how can you prove that?
Multiple photos of obviously condition that no house should be put in.
When did you discover them?
I discovered them late February, early March.
So when you went there, you saw many things in disrepair. You have pictures here?
Yes, page.
All right. What pages?
Pages 12, 13, 14.
Okay, and when you mentioned these things to him, what did he say? Or have you had opportunity to? Because sounds like you said you weren't able to locate him.
No, at first, when I saw the house initially, we were together while the house was in this condition. And he said, oh, it's only going to be 2 days and I'll have it all back together.
Sir, did this
good
happen?
as new.
No, it did not.
Okay.
Plaintiff Emmanuel Spiridakis rented a house to the defendant, but he claims the defendant turned out to be a meth addict who turned the rental property into a drug house.
He shows me pictures of pipes in the house, crystal meth pipes. Know anything about it?
We have a mutual friend that's in prison for that. He was at my house quite often. Didn't know what he was doing.
Somebody at your house quite often smoking crystal meth.
No, I didn't. I wasn't too. I didn't know about that.
What'd you say, sir?
I didn't know about the severity of his condition. So.
What do you mean? You know when somebody's smoking crystal meth in your house, your credibility is gone.
Well, here's the thing.
All right.
He would just come and go as he pleased.
Pardon?
He would just come and go as he pleased. I would come home and he would be there. It wasn't like I invited him.
Oh, he had a key?
No. But he would be in the
Well, how would he just be there?
Because he would go in the garage or he'd be sitting in his truck.
And he would break in your house and smoke crystal meth regularly?
To my knowledge, Your Honor, no.
No what? How would he get in?
A lot of times I didn't lock the doors.
That's called break-in. You don't have to break anything.
Well, he's in prison
so what
now,
you want me to believe is you had a dope fiend breaking into your house regularly, smoking with pipes and leaving them there, and you did nothing.
Well, I didn't know it was there.
You don't know that they're there. You even said you knew what he was coming there doing because he only did it when you weren't there. All right, sir. With regard to the damaged property, he says he's aware of it, and it was like this when you came by. And so you have a list of the things you're asking for regarding your property?
Yes, sir.
What page is that on?
It is on page 1.
All right, page 1. All right. Living room, dining room. I'm looking at the pictures as well.
Yes.
And he says his friend came in a lot, the dope fiend.
Right.
Your breach of contract, what's that for, sir?
We had a verbal agreement dating back to probably the middle of January when I told him that I was moving out. I told him, I'll get the place ready to sell for you. I'm going to slowly move out, which is what I did. I took a truckload of stuff to my new house at the time, slowly moved out. This was all set in stone between he and I. I mean, I did what I did to that house as far as fixing it up because he was my friend. He always claimed that he was broke.
Was there an agreement?
Pardon me?
Was there an agreement?
Yes, there was.
What was the agreement?
The agreement was do whatever you want, get the house ready to sell, and when I sell it, I'll give you some money.
They say how much?
He didn't say how much, but he said he would pay me back.
Okay, you didn't have an agreement.
Well, he said no. He said he would pay me back
you
for what
gotta
I
be
spent.
specific to have an agreement. I'm telling you, I'm the judge.
I understand that.
I'm a lawyer and a judge. To have an agreement, you have to have specifics.
Well,
not some, I'll throw you something. That's not an agreement. Sir, I'm going to grant you your judgment. I see the property damages. He gave me some type of story about a friend that breaks in and smokes crystal meth when he's not there over and over and over. Judgment for the plaintiff. And you can go. Yours is dismissed.
He's completely full of crap. But
dude, you destroyed all my stuff. You know
what? I got pictures. I got pictures right here. I got pictures here,
man.
And you know that you and I had an agreement. You just sat there and lied to that man through your teeth.
Look at your pictures.
Okay, I'll look at my pictures. They're the same as ones as yours that can back up everything you're saying.